Same old trouble, villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome once again to Graphically Novel. My name is Josh Wasta, a.k.a. Fallout Fieri, and with me, as always, is my Viltrumite, my Rexplode.
I knew that one was coming.
The family dynamics in this damn cartoon and comic. Hits Bear.
I saw the Rexplode one coming. I knew that one was going to be there.
If there's Jason Mandzukic, you use Jason Mandzukic.
And with us, as always, the lovely and talented, the Baronessa, Miss Jennifer Howland.
Thank you, Bear. And my distinct pleasure is to introduce our guest. And our guest today is Bill Jackson. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Bill. The one of the people that I had a list when we first started this show almost 2 years ago and 50 plus episodes. You were on that list, and I think you are the last one that I'm crossing off.
Nice.
Be like, I want to talk. And
Okay, Tay-Tay.
and a personal honor, because this is the person that got me into the Invincible comic way back in the day. Handed me an omnibus of issues 0 to 47. It's the first 9 graphic novels in one big ass book. You got that back, right?
It's around here somewhere.
Okay, good. So you do have it. I know I had it for a while because it took me a while to get through it. But
I've moved like 6 times, so.
Yeah, now. So Bill, this is your first time on the show, so please give us a history of you and comic books and how they are in your life and, what they mean to you.
Yeah. I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up. My first comic that I clearly remember getting was a Larry Hama G.I. Joe. My dad bought it for me because I was big into G.I. Joe as a kid, like huge. And I get these comics, and let me tell you, the comic G.I. Joe and the cartoon G.I. Joe are very different animals.
Yes.
Like, that is... The comic G.I. Joe is bloody. Like, people die all the time.
So it's like Warren Ellis's take on G.I. Joe, Resolute.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he kills like a bunch of Joes in the opening 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I read, I didn't go and collect. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have a comic store. So this was I'd pick up comics here and there if they sounded cool at the grocery store. And so I had kind of a very, very random collection. Then, the 90s and the X-Men cartoon got me into the X-Men books. And then there was kind of a big break in me in comics. In third grade, everybody was into the Marvel trading cards.
Yeah, I have those.
I still have mine at home, so in my mom's basement somewhere. You may hear some meowing in the background. That's just my cat.
That's fine. The boats turn into a... Wait.
It's already a cat.
It's already a cat.
What do you do then?
I make it a double cat.
Is it a glitch in the Matrix?
Yes.
Other than that, just kind of sort of low-key kept an eye on comics for a while. Then our friend Lucas, who we all know is a big comic fan, just started handing me comics when I was in college with him.
He was just on our episode on Old Boy, our last episode.
Yeah. And then you and I moved in above the comic book store. And that's when I started collecting again. So.
Yep. And another shout out to Limited Edition out in Cedar Falls. Yes, we lived above a comic book store and I worked in it at the same time. It was not a great money making endeavor.
Hey, listen, it could have been a lot worse. You could have lived right above a bar that you were working in.
Also true.
I've done that.
They're very similar. Except I suppose the comic book store, at least you have a comic book and you remember reading them.
Yeah, you were at least kind of trying to expand your brain, and I was just expanding my liver.
So, Bill, what are your current favorites? What are a few of your go-to comic books?
I'm real behind in all of them. Just because I moved to a different state. I don't have a good comic store right now, but I sort of keep an eye on Bat Family books for DC. This was it's the only DC I've really ever been able to get that into. And I stopped. Captain America is my favorite, but I stopped reading him around the time Nick Spencer took over. I can't imagine why.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people do the same thing.
It's one of those things I've been meaning to get back into. I just haven't for a while. Other than that, I've got kind of a random collection. Some stuff that isn't superheroes is Giant Days by John Allison. It is a continuation of the webcomic he's been writing for like 2 decades.
Okay.
So it's good stuff. It's about college kids in Britain.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So for today, we watched the first season of Invincible and read the first graphic novel, which is the first 4 comics. So, obviously a season of a TV show is going to get a lot more in depth than the first 4 issues of a comic. But Bill is our resident. Like I said, you introduced me to Invincible back in the day before I even know who Robert Kirkman was. Walking Dead wasn't even on the radar at the time that I think you handed me the first comic. So, what do you what did you think of the show?
I liked it a lot. It was exactly what my memories of the comic were. I hadn't read the comic in probably 6 or so years. So going into it, it's exactly kind of what it was in my head. So it was a little weird actually going back and reading the first few books, because everything that happens in the book happens in the comic, but it's not in quite the same order, and it's expanded on a lot. So it's sort of what your brain fills in.
Yeah. That was one of the things that Jen and I discussed. Lots of world building off the bat, which was kind of cool. The only thing that was weird to me is I don't remember if it gets there in the comics again, for only the first 4 issues is what I refreshed myself on. Do they ever in the comic explain how normal people got superpowers?
Not that I remember. It's like a lot of comic universes, it's very much a case of there's just a world where the stuff that gives you superpowers happens a lot.
Right. Kind of, City of Heroes-ish the, it was science, it was mystic, it was, Damien Darkblood is a demon. He has powers.
He's a demon.
He's a demon. That was the only part of the world building, I think, that was kind of left out. But I mean, if you're willing to just go with it and be like, okay, well, it's a superhero world, pretty easy to suspend that disbelief. Bear, what did you think of the show?
Well, considering that we sat down and we binged it all basically in one day at your place, because I don't have Amazon Prime, I was a little floored. That was arguably one of the best animated series I have seen in ever, really. It really kind of kept me on the edge of my seat. It was one of those series where I was like, no, it's got to be this, right? Like, this has got to be the reason why the plot is happening the way the plot is happening. And then, you get the left turn. And I guess we're spoiling. So when you get to the end and you're like, Manchurian Candidate Dad. What the ever living fuck, Manchurian Candidate Dad?
Right, because you're expecting the classics, somehow the classic comic book. Well, he's not really a bad guy, or somehow
you're expecting
or there's something else going on
X somewhere.
Right.
So the thing that I'm still curious about, and maybe it will get answered, is why was what was the government guy's name? The gray hair Cecil. Why did Cecil get rid of dark blood?
Because he knew that Nolan had killed the Guardians, but he wasn't ready. He wanted to know the reason. He needed to know before it got out, and basically Dark Blood was about to be like, well, telling everybody.
Yeah. Okay. That seems very anticlimactic for that character and what that character was able to do, and so it made it seem that it just made it seem like Cecil had more to hide than just that. I mean, that's big,
right?
But it seemed like there was more to it, and I don't know if that was just to make Cecil look like the bad guy more, but I don't know. I thought it could have been done better.
Yeah, this is something, especially since I started reading and recording Correct Conversations, that I refer to as the Maria Hill problem. Maria Hill's a great character, usually very straightforward, really capable, until there's a big event. And then Maria Hill is the first character that writers at Marvel are like, and Maria Hill is going to be on the bad side for really no reason, making horrible decisions. Like, it happens in Civil War. It happens in Civil War 2. It happens in Secret Invasion. Like, it just consistently happens. But if you read the comics where a big event is not happening, Maria Hill is a great character. And
she just develops a case of having to drive the conflict every time there's a big event.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's...
why don't they kill her?
Well, and that's the thing.
If she keeps going, like, she's like, oh, you're so useful, and then you go to the bad side. No.
Because it's a big event, so WrestleMania is coming up, so it's time for Maria Hill's heel turn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because ostensibly in peace
No one goes
times,
up against the Sicilian.
right, when death is on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think she is more of also a representation of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. is government, S.H.I.E.L.D. is authority, S.H.I.E.L.D. is like the police, which is great up until there's like a large event, and then you have to make that entity bad for some reason. Question mark profit.
something.
Right. Profit. Yeah. So, I mean,
of Damien Dark. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, go.
Speaking of Damien Darkblood, he like the cartoon did him much better than the comics.
It's true. Yeah.
And that's why I was like, but why did you do that? Because that was an interesting character, and you could have done a lot with that character.
And Clancy Brown.
It's not in the comics we covered for this, but like how that it just sort of peters out for him in them, and it's not nearly like this is at least more satisfying than the comic book.
Right. It's at least he shows up several times. He is really driving the plot. And I think another thing for Cecil to have banished him is Damien being in play, quote unquote, ratchets up the tension and the timetable for Cecil. Yeah. So basically by the time Damien's figured it out, Damien's already planted enough seeds with the mom.
The mom.
Yeah.
Whose name I can't remember.
Right.
Mom.
So there's still pressure. There's still a timetable. Right. That was just Cecil buying just a little more time.
Right. But, also we have no idea how Damien got out of hell, so maybe he'll come.
Maybe. Yeah. Again, too interesting of a character to do.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was pulled through a portal that was opened on, an island over off the coast of Europe that was opened by Rasputin working with the Nazis.
And what will he do now? I mean,
right.
Elon Musk is going to be on Saturday Night Live. He's busy.
Oh, that's right. That shit show is tonight.
Yes, it is.
Elon Musk and Miley Cyrus on Saturday Night Live.
I know.
It's
fire, train wreck. I can't wait.
As this is now airing 2 months from now, we'll see.
You can go back and
go back and watch it. So Bill, what were you saying about Damien?
Just that he got done dirty in the comics at the end when his whole plot thread just sort of peters out.
Yeah.
Whereas in the cartoon, they actually they send him away, and it's kind of rough, but like it makes sense. It works a lot better, I think, this way.
Right. No, absolutely. And hopefully we'll see that character again, because he was just the right levels of. I think was it when I was watching with you or when I was watching with Bear? I think it was when I was watching with Bear that we were saying he's Rorschach and
Hellboy combined.
Hellboy put together. Yeah.
But not quite as interesting as either.
Well,
almost.
More interesting than Rorschach, but less interesting than Hellboy.
Right. So we would be completely remiss talking about, this show if we just didn't talk about just how much of a cast they put together for a prime cartoon,
Well, I feel like also I like the show.
Yes.
And I know I jumped in on Bear when he was talking about it, but I really liked the series. And I totally agree with him that this is probably by far one of the better or best animated series that I've seen. And I feel like we're kind of in a sweet spot right now in attracting talent to this type of a project, because people like being a nerd about comics or superheroes or whatever is not something that you receive derision from the general populace anymore. It's popular. It's people are not being given a hard time because they like this. In fact, quite the opposite.
Right.
And I think that there are many of these famous voices that are happy to do this kind of a project, because voice work isn't easy, but it's a lot easier than being on set to do live action. And if it's a topic that you are interested in and a storyline that you're interested in, why not? Go ahead and regale us with this cast list, because it's fucking phenomenal.
Right. So Stephen Ewan, who was Glenn in Walking Dead, Sandra Oh, J.K. Simmons, Zazie Beetz, Gray Griffin, Kevin Michael Richardson, Jillian Jacobs, Zachary Quinto, Jason Mantzoukas, Clancy Brown, Mark Hamill, Mahershala Ali, Seth Rogen, Rogen, Gary Anthony Williams. I mean, just, yeah. And that's just pulling some out. Like, there are some names that I don't recognize, but I'm sure, like Walton Goggins, who did Cecil. Like, I look at him, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that guy.
It's that guy that's been like a bad guy everywhere, you know, all over the place. And you're like, oh yeah, I should know exactly all the stuff that he's in, but I don't.
Yeah,
right.
Half my notes are how great this cast is.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, when you're doing voice work, there's two ways you can go. You know, like if Ron Perlman is doing a voice, you know, in a, I know it's Ron Perlman. Like I can pick out Ron. He has such a distinctive voice, and there are certain actors that are very much that way. J.K. Simmons is absolutely one of those actors.
Yeah.
That the moment you hear him, you're like, is that J.K. Simmons?
Oh no, you can't even not say that's J.K. Simmons.
Right.
No, like I have in my notes here, J.K. Simmons as Nolan is basically Tenzin from Korra, but evil, and it works.
Oh, I haven't seen Korra.
Oh yeah, he. Spoilers, you find this out in the first like 5 seconds. He's Korra's mentor throughout the beginning of the show. He teaches her stuff. So like him teaching Mark, like if you've also watched Korra, that really works.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, it really does. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, and another voice that as soon as the character spoke for the first time, I didn't know Jason Mandzukic was in this.
I told you Jason Mandzukic was in this.
I didn't remember that
until
I heard his voice.
Zazie Beetz and Jason Mandzukic, and Jason Mandzukic's character is Explode. Like, how could they not say we have to have Jason Mantzoukas?
He's absolutely perfect. He's such a tool.
Yeah. Well, and he's really leaned into that. I mean, Jason Mantzoukas is an actor. You think about all of the things that he's been in recently that you're like, holy shit. I think the only thing that I even considered kind of out of character for him was when he was TikTok man in John Wick. Because he wasn't his over the top, everything crazy, must be
crazy, you know, 11,
Yeah, he was random homeless man spy.
Yeah.
But again, Jason Mantzoukas. You know, and then
but he's got to show that he's got some range.
Right. And then no matter what voice he's doing, I can pick Mark Hamill now with his career of voice work out of anywhere. And it's just a delight when he does voice work. I don't know, any other performances that you all were like, oh my God, just so spot on?
The Mahler brothers, actually. Kevin Michael Richardson as the Mahler twins. That's exactly kind of how they sounded in my head.
Right? Yeah. No, I agree. And in fact, this reread, I don't know if it was that way before, but all of these voices while I'm reading the book, spot on. You know, there are a few characters that stick with me. What's his name? Jake Johnson now is Peter Parker in my mind permanently after Into the Spider-Verse. You know, no matter if he's being like, you know, top of the world Peter or down in his luck Peter, it doesn't matter. It's just a perfect choice for a voice. So yeah, really hoping that we're going to see more like this. So this is going to be for Bear and Jen because Bill, you and I had read it, so it was not a shock. The end of the first episode, when everything goes from this is cartoony and whatever to Bloodfest, and then the Bloodfest very much stays throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But how was that transition? You know, were you expecting it? Were you, had any trailers? Like,
no.
Okay.
No. Well, I mean, and I kind of went into, like, when we watched the trailers for this, and then we started watching the first episode, it, even though it kind of on the surface appears to be like, oh, it's this teenage kid that's a superhero. And, is this going to be like Power Rangers? Is this going to be, like a little bit of Saturday morning teenage drama? And then just superhero stuff. And I should have knowing the people, like the actors, the voice talent involved, that it would be far more nuanced and in depth. And I'm sure by now our listeners know that I love action movies. I love violence. I like blowing things up. That's great. And so when it did that, I was like, you have my attention, sir.
You had my interest.
Yeah.
Now you have my attention.
Exactly.
Fair?
As I stroke my invisible cat.
I was kind of worried that this was going to be another one of the like teen dramas that you so frequently pull me into, and I'm just sitting there going like, oh, I don't care who's dating who. Like, do we have to do this again? And
Thank
then
you, Bear.
Yeah. And then we see the murder fest that was the end of the first episode, and I'm like, all right, sold. How do I see the rest of this? Oh, Prime? Shit. Okay, well, it looks like I'm going to be watching it here. Better bring beer.
My wife watched the first episode with me, and she went in blind as well and did not see it coming. It just...
Yeah. I mean, I didn't necessarily see it coming either, having read the book, because... the series of events is very different than in the comic. The general storyline is the same, but like I said, there's a lot more world building. There's a lot more relationships. Well,
you're not introduced to the Guardians of the Globe until in the comic.
Right.
You're not introduced to them until
right before they die.
Yeah.
Like that sequence in the show where they're all like at their various lives. That happens almost immediately before they're all killed in the comics.
Yeah.
Wow. So one of the other big actors that I didn't even realize was the voice for this, but I loved their little bit of story, and it goes with the world building, is Steve, the stepfather guard at the White House.
Oh, right. Yeah.
John Hamm.
Yeah. I knew that too.
And again, it's those little, and this is a very Robert Kirkman thing. It's just those little random slice of life things, because there's 2 times that he shows up. The first one is the first episode, and the second one is when he takes his stepson, to England or Paris,
Yeah,
and
Europe.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And they have a moment,
of
bonding, and it has nothing to do with the rest of it,
right?
But it's like, okay. I'm in. There are real people here. It makes the stakes more important, to understand that there's the rest of the world out there.
Right. I mean, it really does, in a very simple and entertaining way. It shows you how removed the superheroes are, even though their whole goal is to protect people, like how removed they are from actual people's lives.
Right. Any other points? Leaving the floor open.
The world building in the cartoon was really good. Like, I like how Mark spent the first couple episodes not really being good at flying at all.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, in the comic, it's like he has the scene where he's like, okay, it's like a reflex, and he steps off of his roof and he can fly.
Yeah.
I do like that. I especially like the parts that were added where Nolan is saying things like, it's like any muscle, you need to flex and to speed up, and you need to build those muscles, and eventually, who knows, you might be as fast as me or whatever. Just a really interesting take, because from the beginning that Nolan is a bad guy. So that's not the shock. They could have easily not had the scene at the end of the first episode and just had it that the Guardians of the Globe were killed, and Omni-Man was taken to the hospital or the secret lair or whatever, and then have that scene at the end of the first episode as the reveal toward the end.
Well, but I think that they did it in a way. It's like, yeah, you see that he kills all these people in the show, but you're like, is he being controlled? You don't know,
right?
You don't know for sure that he was just being a dick.
Yeah.
One thing I liked about how they moved everything around is there's a lot of plot lines in the cartoon happen in the comic after the reveal with Nolan, after he leaves. So you get him around for his reactions to things, like when Mark is helping out Titan and he helps him and go deal with Machine Head.
Right.
That happens after Nolan leaves Earth in the comics. So you've got Mark talking about, hey, I'm going to help this guy, and Nolan being like, you don't need to help him. He's not important. Giving the hints at the whole Vitruvian thing going on.
Right.
There.
Yeah. And I have to just say, who was who did the voice of Machine Head?
Machine Head was Jeffrey Donovan.
So the auto tune, like not full on auto tune of Machine Head's voice, was
pretty damn close. Yeah.
Chef's kiss. It was exactly what I wanted Machine Head to sound like.
I was just like, I get to see Daft Punk on a cartoon.
Yeah, well, there was enough Jeffrey Donovan still there that I was kind of wondering if his henchman was going to turn out to be voiced by Bruce Campbell, and he was going to steal his yogurt. But Jeffrey Donovan. Ezra Miller was in one episode. He was D.A. Sinclair, so he was the evil robot making guy.
Oh, okay.
At the campus.
Yeah.
And then probably my favorite little nod, and he's only in one episode, but I caught it in the comic too when I reread. And it's a joke that translated over to the cartoon. The name of Mark's high school is Reginald VelJohnson High. Reginald VelJohnson being the actor in like Family Matters and the cop in Die Hard. He voiced the principal in the one episode that the principal shows up. So you actually had Reginald VelJohnson involved in this, and obviously Robert Kirkman's a fan because he named the high school after him when he made this comic forever ago. And it's just like, it's the subtlest little nod, but it's like so perfect.
Well, and it's like, come on, you're creating a world. Why not do all these things that you want to do? It's
right?
Fantastic.
So
also, we know it's really hard to come up with.
That's real.
So we read 4 issues. I will say, again, little different in the comic, but if you want to get ahead off of season 1, I think the season 1 arc is the 3rd graphic novel. I mean, basically it's 1 through 3. I mean, it's up to like issue 15. It's not that far into the series. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember. But like Bill said, a lot of stuff happens afterwards. So if you like this world, keep in mind there are 3 omnibuses, so they must be up to at least issue 150 by now. Now I need to look up. See,
I think it goes up to 140 something, but also there's annuals and
right. So there's a lot here, and if you like this world, by all means, I mean, check it out because it's pretty awesome. 144 issues. Yep, and this is not a series that is still going. Although with the success of the show, who knows? But it is 144 and done with annuals. It's a high recommend for me. And I was trying to think of any other, like you guys said, cartoon or animated show based on a comic book or anything that we've done that I liked as much as this. And I mean, the Harley Quinn cartoon, but probably for different reasons.
Yeah. Agreed.
But this did have like the drama that I look for that Bear and Jen don't. It had that.
Yes, but it was couched under like explosions and, withering aliens and splattering like giant monsters and things like that. So I was like, I'm fine with it. Okay. Yeah. Rexplode cheated on Adam Eve with Duplicate technically multiple times.
At the same time.
At the same time. But like, okay, fine. That's whatever. Like that was so minuscule an amount of time. It was there to further the plot. It served its purpose, but then they just moved on.
Right.
Like they didn't sit and dwell on it for 3 episodes. Oh my God, I can't believe he cheated on me. And like, we're 3 episodes later. How are we still talking about this? There's aliens that are popping up downtown. Like, we need to move on here.
Well, I also think that it speaks to the character of Adam Eve, is that even though she was hurt by that, she was mature enough, I guess, to move on, realizing there were more important things. And the same thing with her relationship with her parents. The whole, which felt kind of gross at first, because I was like, what's up with the dad? Why is he being like that? Is he like sexually abusive to her, other than being just a terrible
person in general?
A terrible white man.
Yes. A terrible conservative white man. You need to stay in the house and learn how to
be a
do
woman.
Things like laundry and cooking. And
but then there was that brief scene before she took off and basically ran away from home, where he was just like, I'm trying to protect you. And it's okay, so you're completely going about it the wrong way. But okay, that I could see a glimmer of an actual parent, not a white man trying to control his women.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of what you were picking up with the possible abuse was the wife's reactions in the background. Yeah, because she was flinching and cringing and
sorry that trigger warnings for me.
Right.
So yeah, I think that I potentially read more into that scene than was intended because of stuff I'm aware of.
Well, it's also weird because you have to also remember that it's animated. So those choices were actively put in. It's not like...
Well, and that's kind of why I mentioned it, because it felt like the intent was that this man, if she were not a superhero, would be a threat to her.
Right.
You know, even though he's her father, it felt like he was a threat to her. And the only reason that she was safe from that threat was because she could dissolve him or turn him into a monkey or whatever. You know, it wasn't until right before she left where he said, I'm just like, where he actually appeared to be a parent, where he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to protect you. And, you know, I can't help.
Well, he's trying to protect, but he is not at all trying to support.
Right.
Which is, at this point, more important because you can only be protected for so long, and they're all in high school at this point. So
Right.
But she's 18. That's specifically referred to. So
He says it,
you know,
in that argument.
So and then she leaves, and her parents get rid of Britta, who's voiced by Julie Jacobs.
You're the worst.
She's a GDP.
But yeah, I don't know. There are so many things about parenting that are so hard that I think that it's really difficult it's just hard. It's a hard job. It's a hard job to get over your own fear and your own shit, to be able to protect your child from the world, but also get to the point where you're supporting them in helping them become a person and move on into the world. It's really hard. Sorry, Bill. You're in for a rough ride. But it's the best.
I love parents that are like, yeah, it's such a horrible, thankless, hard job, but it's great.
Well,
it's the equivalent of, ooh, this tastes horrible. Try this.
It is, but it's not. And the thing is like, it's the reward that you get. Like my kids, I genuinely love spending time with them. They are smart, thoughtful, intelligent, well-spoken people. And I just like having conversations with them. And that's my reward for all of the stuff I went through. And will continue to go through for them and with them and because of them.
Yeah, my kid's 3, and like we were chilling out on the couch earlier watching Spider-Man, and she loves it. And like it's hard, at 2 a.m. when she wakes up and she's sick, but getting to just hang out and do stuff and show her things that I like, and see if she likes them too. That's great.
Yeah, and that's how you build a relationship with that person. It's just the same as friends. I mean, you find common interests and you build on them, and that's how you create that relationship as a parent, which, in this show, it's interesting because you see Adam Eve and her parents are kind of stereotypical, like 50s parents where, they're not really involved with their child. They just, like house them, feed them, and they must listen. And you can contrast that with, Omni-Man and his wife bringing up Mark and how involved they are, which is also interesting that the mother was not really a character in the comic.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that brings up one of the other points I had. Something that hit you while I was watching it with you that I was kind of watching for, but you reacted a lot more than I thought you would, is when Nolan refers to her as a pet. Yeah. You reacted like someone had slapped you. Like you actually started standing up a little bit. Like, oh,
Jamal.
Which also happens in the comic, but I don't think delivered quite the same punch.
Thank JK.
Yeah, right?
A voice.
Yep. I had something else. It's gone to the. Bill, you were talking about moments as a parent and showing stuff that that your kid liked. My crowning achievement, the thing that I hold up as my stepfather prize, is that when Ashley chose her name, she chose it because she had watched Army of Darkness with me.
That's amazing.
Right?
I love it.
So, and we even call her Ash. It's great. Fantastic. And now she wants to watch the first 2 Evil Dead movies. I was like, well, you can just watch 2. And...
Yeah, 2 is really everything that was good from 1.
Right. Yeah. It's the same story with better stuff added and bad stuff completely removed.
And production values.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's...
I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to see a little tree rape going on in there?
Everyone there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like you have to watch it just to believe that somebody actually put that to film and that it's still selling.
When I was big into film and stuff and living with Chris Hanel, I had a book that was all of the stories collected for making the first Evil Dead. And they interviewed that actress who talked about she had completely forgotten about filming that scene until she was sitting in the premiere and her parents were next to her.
Oh, no.
Like, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, this is coming up. Dang.
Right. So anyway, Invincible. We read first 4 issues. Bill, you read the whole run?
I have read the whole run in the past. For refreshing before this, I got up to about issue 20.
Okay. Bear, will you continue to read this comic?
This is definitely one. I mean, it follows pretty religiously alongside the cartoon from what I saw, the series from what I saw. So it's one of those ones like, do I need to keep reading? Could I just keep watching? I think I could probably just keep watching and be fine. I will definitely keep watching, when it's available. Keep reading? Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down if it was put in front of me, but like I said, at this point in time, it's kind of one of those. If I can get it in video form, it's probably quicker and easier to digest.
Jen?
Yeah, thank you, Bear, for saying that. Because I feel similarly. I at this point have so much to consume myself and read that I would recommend this. I would absolutely recommend the full run to anyone.
Yeah, same.
But I will most likely continue to watch.
Okay. I will probably end up picking this up when we have our larger bookshelves and I can start to store more stuff. I'm sure I will probably even get the omnibuses.
You understand that we cannot own everything that we do for the show. We don't have a, unless you're going to get a storage locker.
Hey, I'm already working on buying all the movies and series that we've been doing for the show.
Well, and I have seen that occasionally Comixology will have all of it digitally, for a pretty good sale. So I'll probably also pick it up or, end up picking it up that way. But yeah, so
sooner or later we'll get around to building your shelves. Don't worry.
Right.
I mean, you could just build on it. Your giant garages are all the rage out there.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't have double my property to spare from my house. I don't have another house I can construct. But yeah, I will definitely continue watching for sure. Depending on how much more investment this show takes as we do more and more series and fewer movies. But Bill, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope we can get you back again.
Yeah, it was good to be on.
I hope you had fun.
I did.
That's the goal. Definitely, as we are alternating our shows between Rec Conversations and Graphically Novel, next week we will not have a Graphically Novel, but you can hear me again as I talk about Secret Wars. And oh God, this was painful. The new Secret Wars, by the way, not the toy commercial. And then in 2 weeks, we will be back with Bear's brother, Luke, to do
Two Guns,
which I didn't even know was a comic. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I had to pull that one out for you. That was kind of entertaining watching you go, huh? What?
Right? All right. Well, until next time, take it away, Vandello.
Come with me, I'll tell a story that you might have heard before. Graphically novel, but the same old trouble. Villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same. Do 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 do. Come at me, I'll show you something you ain't never seen before. Right or wrong, or can't we all just get along? My mask is no different than yours. Pretty pictures on the screen, but nothing's ever as it seems. Do 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 do. loved or hated by millions. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but you don't want to see